Romero's mother brought her murdered son to court in a wooden box.
This is all I have left of him. My son's frightened face and screams haunt me with every step I take now.
His face, you can't believe, just dark purple, no eyes, no another half. This not half, just like that.
December 2nd, 2018, Albuquerque, New Mexico. A 15-year-old sits inside a small interrogation room with his mother at his side, and the camera overhead records every detail of his posture. His hands shift. His leg bounces. His eyes fall to the table each time the detective speaks. The room is steady and plain, but something about the silence feels heavier than anything he is willing to say.
So you, Calypso, and Flex, and Calypso's driving? Okay. Y'all go over to the location that y'all met up with Ahmed and Colin. Is that correct? Ahmed got into the back seat?
Yeah.
Okay, which?
No, he actually came up to the window first, to Calypso's window.
Okay.
And he shook his hand, and then he was like, just hop in the back, and then...
Okay, so which door did he get in?
This side.
The passenger, or the driver's side?
Driver back, yeah.
Okay.
Across the hallway, investigators sift through hours of footage tied to two missing boys who walked out of their homes earlier that day. The adults in the building already know this teenager is part of their final hours. They need him to explain the rest.
We're just chilling, and then out of nowhere, Calypso just points his gun at him, and then he had some weed, and then Calypso was just like, where's the rest? And then he's like, this is what you wanted. And then he's like, well, where's the rest? And he's like, how much more do you need? And then that's when Calypso pulled out the gun and like, just give me everything, and then started passing it on him. And I'm just like, well, what do I do? So then he's like, run his pocket. So then I took out his pocket, I took out his wallet, and I put it in the middle.
The camera keeps rolling, and the story behind this case begins to take shape in real time. Hours earlier, 14-year-old Ahmed Latif and 15-year-old Colin Romero left their homes with plans that looked simple to anyone watching. Both had been using Snapchat to meet new contacts. Both had started selling small amounts of marijuana to make extra money. They thought it would be easy, and for a while, it was the older kids they met treated them like peers, and the quick cash felt good. Neither boy imagined the danger attached to the people they were dealing with. That morning felt ordinary. No arguments at home, no missing items, no signs of distress. The boys stepped outside and planned to return later that day. They never did. By late afternoon, their phones went quiet. Messages stayed unread. Friends assumed they were busy. Parents assumed they would check in before bedtime.
And Kimbrell remains on her search.
The circled one right here is Ahmed. Is Ahmed's Snapchat.
She says the teen's Snapchats last pinged in this area near the Double Eagle Airport, then went silent.
But the silence continued through the night. And by morning, both families were searching their neighborhoods with a growing sense of dread. They checked parks, convenience stores, and the spots where the boys usually hung out. Nothing turned up. No one had seen them. No one had spoken to them. Their online accounts showed no new activity.
I can't believe it's been a year without my son.
It's been a long year for Colin Romero's mother, Amanda Kimbrell.
I have faced a lot of demons this year. I've had to come to reality that, I made a lot of mistakes with my son.
Albuquerque police opened a missing persons report. They interviewed friends and learned that Ahmed and Colin had been dealing with a group of older men. The boys didn't reveal many details, but they seemed impressed by the older group. Investigators knew how quickly young teens could fall into dangerous circles, and they began treating the case as suspicious within hours.
She says in 2013 she moved to Albuquerque from Iraq because she thought it would be safer for her family here.
For several days, officers and volunteers looked everywhere. Families printed flyers. Classmates reposted missing alerts across social media. Search teams walked through dry washes, arroyos, and open lots. The city kept an eye out for anything connected to the boys, But the investigation stalled. No tips, no sightings, no abandoned clothing. Their phones stayed dark. The sense of urgency deepened with each passing day. And then everything changed in the desert. 2 weeks into the search, a ranch worker traveling along a remote trail in Sandoval County noticed disturbed soil. Deputies responded. They dug into the loose earth and uncovered human remains wrapped in fragments of clothing. A second grave sat a short distance away.
Albuquerque police have confirmed a triple homicide in the North Valley last week was a murder-suicide. Police have not yet named the suspect, but they say he stabbed 2 people.
The scene was quiet and windswept, a place where little ever happens. Yet it held the ending to 2 families' worst fears. Forensic teams confirmed the identities. Ahmed and Colin had been murdered before being buried in the desert. Autopsy results revealed the extent of the violence. Ahmed had 19 gunshot wounds. Colin had 9. Both had been assaulted before the shooting started. The injuries indicated they suffered during their final moments. The wider community responded with disbelief. Teenagers do not vanish from a neighborhood and end up buried in the desert without someone knowing why.
They were beaten and killed at one location, and then they were taken to a further north location, which is in Sandoval County.
Detectives needed answers, fast. Within days, a video began circulating on Snapchat. It showed the 2 boys sitting in the back seat of a car. They looked frightened. One appeared injured. 2 individuals in the front seat kept striking them. The camera captured the violence clearly enough to reveal faces. It was chaotic and careless.
There's a lot of social media stuff on them. That's where we're tracking.
Police say they're working with people who found the post to find where it came from. They're also scouring the desert from above and on the ground.
We had our open space units, our air one-up, looking for these individuals on the west side.
It was also exactly what detectives needed. Officials matched the faces to known individuals.
They were seeking the public's help identifying 3 people they called violent robbers who had hit 5 drugstores in the weeks prior. The video also shows 2 white SUVs they say the men were driving. The third suspect appears to be Stephen Goldman.
The attackers were identified as 19-year-old Stephen Goldman, known as Calypso, 22-year-old Jimmy Atkins, known as Flex, and 15-year-old Julio Almentero, known as Fafa. All 3 had been associated with small-time robberies and drug activity. All 3 were present in the vehicle, and all 3 were now wanted in connection with the murders. Warrants were issued.
4 people have been charged in connection with their deaths: Stephen Goldman Jr., Jimmy Atkins, Julio Almentero, and Stephen Goldman Sr., who's been charged with tampering with evidence.
The search began. Julio was the first to be found. Officers located him at an apartment complex in Albuquerque. He did not resist. He looked confused but calm, and he agreed to speak with detectives. Because he was a minor, his mother sat beside him as the interview began. The detective across the table took notes while a camera captured every angle. In the hallway, other officers reviewed the Snapchat video frame by frame. The conversation started with simple questions. Julio explained that the boys were supposed to sell an ounce of marijuana to the older men. He said the amount looked short and an argument started. He admitted he hit one of the boys because the older men pressured him. He insisted he never intended to hurt anyone. His mother remained silent. Detectives pressed for specifics. They asked about the seating arrangement. Julio described himself in the rear passenger seat. Ahmed sat in the center. Colin sat behind the driver. Flex sat in the front passenger seat. Calypso drove. Julio said they smoked to calm down, and for a moment the tension eased.
Ahmed got into the back seat?
Yeah.
Okay, which?
No, he actually came up to the window first, to Calypso's window.
Okay.
And he shook his hand, and then he was like, just hop in the back, and then...
Okay, so which door did he get in?
This side.
The passenger, or the driver's side?
Driver back, yeah.
Okay.
But the car soon turned away from Albuquerque, down quieter roads where there were no lights and no houses. He said he noticed the boys becoming nervous. He did too, but he didn't say anything. He was high, confused, and intimidated by 2 older men who controlled the situation. When the car finally stopped near the West Mesa, he stayed inside until he heard movement behind the vehicle. Then he heard gunfire. He looked up. He saw one of the victims fall. More shots followed. Julio said he was ordered to help move the bodies into the trunk. He said he did it out of fear. His mother didn't speak during any of this. She only watched him describe the final moments of two boys who were only a year younger than him. But detectives already knew that part of the story was incomplete. Technicians had traced Ahmed's phone. It had been thrown from the car near Interstate 40, not near the desert. Digital records showed the victims were forced to log into their Snapchat accounts from another phone. The attackers used their accounts to try to get more weed. Julio admitted he helped with that. He said he did what he was told. Investigators kept listening. They took Julio into the desert on February 9th, 2019. He retraced the route, walking slowly while detectives watched his reactions. He paused near the burial site. He shook his head. Some parts of his timeline changed. Investigators took note of everything. They brought him back 2 months later for another interview. This time they showed him parts of the Snapchat beating. He kept his eyes down. He didn't deny hitting the boys, but tried to limit his role. He said he never wanted the older men to get angry. He said he only hit the victims because he felt trapped. Detectives continued asking questions. Julio described how Calypso produced a handgun inside the car and demanded the rest of the weed. He said he searched the victims for anything valuable. He took a wallet from one, weed from the other. He lifted a shirt and found a handgun. He handed it over, and Flex took it. The detectives marked this detail. Julio was actively involved in the robbery. They asked if either victim tried to defend themselves. Julio said no. Both boys were unarmed during the violence. Both were only 14 and 15 years old. Both were outnumbered and physically smaller than the attackers. Julio said the group stopped at a gas station near Tramway and Central.
Where did y'all go anywhere after that, or
to this gas station?
To a gas station?
To this gas station.
Oh, that's what you. All right. So then let's go from there. Where did you go?
From there we started heading. That's when we started heading up towards the mesa.
On the freeway.
Yeah.
Okay.
The victims stayed quiet. The older men whispered among themselves. Julio said he knew something was coming but didn't understand what. After leaving the gas station, they drove deeper into the desert. He said one of the victims was shot in the leg before either was killed. He claimed he tried to push the gun away and warned the older men not to do this in a car that wasn't theirs, but they kept going. Both boys were shot multiple times in the dark. Then the attackers loaded the bodies into the trunk. Julio said he heard faint sounds when they moved them. He thought both boys might have been alive for a brief moment after the first shots. He wasn't sure. The autopsy reports indicated both boys sustained multiple gunshot wounds before dying. After the murders, panic spread through the group. Julio described how Calypso contacted his uncle for help. The uncle arrived and understood immediately. He told them to clean the vehicle and get rid of it.
But the one person she says she's most disappointed with is Stephen Goldman Sr. He's been accused of burning the car that was used to transport the bodies of the teens.
He was never, that father figure of teaching his son right from wrong.
They drove to Calypso's house. Calypso's father came outside and listened to what happened. He retrieved a gun case from inside the house and wiped down several weapons before storing them. He did not ask the questions the detectives later wished he had asked.
Running around.
And how many guns?
So there was his big one, and then mine, and then the one they had.
The one that Flex had.
Yeah, inside his house. And I get him for him. I take him inside. I take him to his dad's room, and then his dad he has all these cleaning tools and stuff. And not cleaning tools, probably not cleaning tools. He has like a case, like a case that you can put it in.
Oh.
Like a tool bag, like for a gun.
Okay.
And he just, but like for like a lot of guns, and then
okay.
He puts them in there, and he starts wiping them down, and he's like, what are you about to do with these, Dad? And he's like,
Julio helped clean the vehicle. He followed instructions because he felt he had no choice. Calypso and his sister left town. Flex stayed with Julio for a short time. They hid inside the house, trying to lie low as the investigation grew. But the pressure mounted quickly. When Calypso called from Portland, he gave instructions about the keys to the vehicle. Julio handed the keys over to Calypso's father near a set of apartments. The father drove away in the car that carried the victims. Meanwhile, detectives uncovered more evidence. Surveillance footage showed the same group robbing pharmacies in multiple cities. They stole cough syrup used to make lean. Julio tried to say he only acted as a lookout.
So, what were they taking during those?
Lean.
Huh?
Lean. Promethazine. Lean.
What is that?
Like cough syrup. Cough syrup.
Oh, it's the
Lean.
To make the drink.
Yeah, to make the drink with
Yeah.
Sprite. Yeah.
Yeah. So, is that all they were taking from there?
Yep.
They weren't taking Xannies or anything else. Just the
lean. That's what they were wanting.
Okay.
But security footage showed him inside a Walgreens. This expanded the case further. Federal charges were now possible. Julio's mother insisted he had been manipulated by older men. She said he was pressured into everything. But investigators documented his participation at each stage. He helped with the robbery. He took part in the beating. He helped transport the victims. He helped clean evidence. His age did not absolve him from responsibility. Prosecutors spent years assembling a complete picture. They compiled digital logs, forensic evidence, interrogation records, search history, location pings, witness statements, and cell tower data. They confirmed the white Buick used to transport the victims had been burned.
That you're aware of. Did he tell them that they needed to get rid of that vehicle?
Yeah.
What did he say?
He said that he tried to clean it out or something. He tried to clean it out or something. He's like,
Yeah.
I can't clean it. He's like, I can't clean it, so you guys need to get rid of that car.
Did he tell them how they needed to get rid of it?
No, he was just like, you guys need to get rid of it.
Do you remember? You don't remember him saying anything specific?
No, he didn't say nothing specific. He's just like, get rid of it.
They discovered tools used to rebury the bodies. They tracked movements across multiple cities. They spoke with people who heard the suspects brag about the murders. The trial began in February 2023. Families filled the courtroom. Investigators presented photographs of the burial site. They showed the injuries the boys suffered. The jury watched still images extracted from the Snapchat video. They listened to forensic pathologists describe each wound. Parents cried as they listened to the final moments of their sons. Ahmed and Colin had been 14 and 15 years old when they died. The images shown in court reminded everyone of that fact. The trial lasted several weeks. Witnesses spoke about the group's movements after the murders. Detectives walked the jury through digital evidence. The timeline became clear. The violence inside the car, the forced login to the victims' accounts, the desert shootings, and the failed cover-up. Every step was documented. On May 1st, 2023, the jury delivered its verdict. Stephen Goldman Jr., Jimmy Atkins, Julio Almentero, all guilty of kidnapping, armed robbery, and tampering with evidence. All sentenced to 2 consecutive life terms with a minimum of 60 years. Julio's uncle received 6 years for tampering. Calypso's father received 4 years for hiding weapons. Ahmed and Colin were teenagers who trusted the wrong people. They entered the wrong car and never made it home. Their lives ended on a remote stretch of desert sand. Their families still relive the silence of December 2nd every day. This case ends with convictions. The case closes, and the silence that follows stays with them.